Resistance Radio Music, Crystal City.
Shalom. I'd like to give all worship and honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, whom the world ignorantly calls God and Lord. I would also like to send praise and respect to his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is Resistance Radio Music Video Series. Once again, I'm your host, Brother Theron. This is the day that Yahweh has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you all for coming back to tune in once again. I'd like to send a shout out to all of the Hebrew Israelites, the 12 tribes that are on the western side of the world, as well as all the scattered members of the 12 tribes that are on every continent on this planet. I want to send shout outs to you and greetings to you. I'd also like to send a shout out to my new fellowship, Renewed Hope House of Worship, Bishop Cortez and Sister Tam Liggins. And I'd also like to thank the fellowship in its entirety. I appreciate each and every one of you. Today's title is, It's Not That You Can't Understand, It's That You Can't Accept. It's not that you can't understand, it's that you can't accept. What I want to explain to y'all is that understanding is one thing and acceptance is another thing, especially when we're talking about understanding and accepting the truth. Understanding and acceptance are closely aligned, yet they're different. So we're going to spend this video talking about understanding something as well as accepting something. I'm not going to go to the scriptures today, but I think it's a good idea if those of you that have pens, papers, pencils, that sort of thing, take notes, because you might be edified and you might learn something. We're going to talk about understanding first. First thing I want to advise you all to do, never criticize or condemn anyone for being ignorant or unlearned. Let me say that again. Never criticize or condemn anyone for being ignorant or unlearned. Every person on this planet is in a different position in their walk in life in terms of where they're trying to go as far as knowledge, information, understanding, being successful, being prosperous. Never criticize or condemn someone for being ignorant or unlearned. If somebody doesn't know, they just don't know. You can't fault them for not knowing. Let me say this to the men, because I always want to address the men, because we're supposed to be the leaders and the heads in society. Men, as leaders and authority figures, teach and point in the right direction to give, I misunderstood that. Men, as leaders and authority figures, teach and point people in the right direction to give them understanding. Women, the same with you when you're dealing with younger women. As leaders and authority figures, teach and point them in the right direction. And women, if you encounter a man that's wise and is of understanding, keep him around. If there's no visible signs of a person having mental health issues, it's safe to assume that they can understand and they may or may not be stubborn. We're going to get into stubbornness here shortly, but we're talking about basic understanding. If you encounter someone and there's no visible signs that they have a mental issue, a mental health issue, or a mental challenge, I'll put that way, it's pretty safe to assume that they can understand you. And if they can understand you and they're not accepting, it may be that they're stubborn. We know that this is the age of technology and that knowledge has increased. This is across the planet on all 7 continents. Everywhere where there's any type of access to any type of electronic device, those people have access to technology, they have access to knowledge, and knowledge has increased. So I want to talk about stubbornness because stubbornness plays a big part in understanding. First of all, let me say this. Being stubborn is a choice. It's always a choice. It can become habit, and if it becomes habit, it gets to be bigger than a choice. It can be something that can control and dominate a person's life. And for some of us that are stubborn, it can lead to a very difficult life. But stubbornness can definitely affect your ability and your willingness to understand. What I wrote down is that stubbornness is usually veiled weakness or fear or trauma or the small man complex or all of the above. So you making a decision to be stubborn when new information, new knowledge is presented to you, that's a choice that you make. It's going to make your life very difficult. It's going to make your life complicated, and you're likely to have a lot more tension and contention amongst people that you're around. And it's going to be very difficult for you to learn and grow and mature. Now, you have to use wisdom. Let's say you're the person trying to share knowledge and information and truth. And then you're trying to share the knowledge and information and truth with someone that's supposed to be sitting here to receive it, and they're being stubborn. You have to use wisdom. What I mean by using wisdom is it could be righteous stubbornness. Let me explain what righteous stubbornness is briefly. Some people have a certain level of wisdom, certain level of experience. They've had a spiritual awakening or a spiritual experience. And when I say righteous stubbornness, they know that what they believe is true and accurate and correct. And so they're standing on that 10 toes down, as they say. That's what you call righteous stubbornness. In that context, there's nothing wrong with stubbornness. If you have righteous stubbornness, you're standing 10 toes down and won't budge on something that you know is true, you know it's right, you know it's correct, you know it's righteousness, then you should be stubborn in that context, even if someone's trying to present you with new information, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So use wisdom. It could be righteous stubbornness. Still, most but not all stubbornness blocks one's growth and hinders progress, success, and maturity. Excuse me. I said progress, success, and maturity. Most of us out here that are trying to be successful in any way want to be progressive, successful, and be mature. They want to grow, they want to advance, they want to move up. So again, stubbornness in most cases can block that from happening. And the person that is being stubborn doesn't even realize that. On a side note, family has this bad, stubbornness. And I'm talking about my own family and the families that I've married into and married out of. I'm sorry, married into, divorced out of. Family has this bad. Family stubbornness and their stubborn ways can be destructive. Because in every family, you've got people that are self-righteous, that are egotistical, narcissistic, and then you have other family members that are humble, lowly, meek, compassionate, kind-hearted. And what happens is when the meek, compassionate, lowly, kind-hearted person has an issue that they're trying to share with the other family members, a lot of times those family members that say that they love that family member don't want to hear it, don't want to address it, don't want to face it, don't want to acknowledge it. So family has this stubbornness thing. Stubbornness can be very destructive. Stubbornness blocks your understanding, because remember, we're talking about understanding and acceptance. It's not that you can't understand, it's that you can't accept. But before you can accept anything, the first step is understanding. So stubbornness is a huge block to understanding. If understanding is refused by the person you're trying to give it to, truth you're trying to give it to them. Wise men, wise women make their point and then move on. Now, it's slightly harder for women to do this, but let me say it again. If understanding is refused by the person you're trying to teach it to, truth is being refused to the person you're trying to teach it to. Wise men, wise women make their point and then move on to something else. Now, I'm going to explain how this is slightly harder for women. The reason why it's slightly harder for women is because women are naturally emotional people. Women are naturally more feeling. Women are naturally slightly more compassionate and easygoing and understanding. And women are typically more likely to try to drive their point across in these situations than men are. I don't mean this to be sexist. I just mean this is an observation. This is what I've observed about women. Women out there, if you're not this way, it's not meant to be a jab at you. I don't want you to take it that way. But the point is, wise men and wise women, make your point, then move on. If someone's refusing knowledge, refusing truth, refusing the reality of the situation, refusing understanding, say what you have to say, get it off your chest, and then move on. Reading equals comprehension. Comprehension equals understanding. Understanding equals truth. True beliefs restore us. I said that in my last video. But again, it's not that you can't understand, it's that you can't accept. With that being said, we're going to move on to acceptance. Now, this is what I'll say about accepting truth, accepting knowledge, accepting wisdom, accepting life as it is. Acceptance is typically the hardest and the final step. It's the hardest step because people wrestle with acceptance. Acceptance is a process, like how I explained in a previous video how forgiveness is a process. Acceptance takes time. It has to settle into your mind, it has to settle into your heart, it has to settle into your life, and then you go through the process of accepting whatever's being presented for you. I'm not trying to make this more complicated or make it sound more complicated than it is, but I've discovered this especially with the younger generations. When it comes to truth, experience, wisdom, knowledge, the younger generation wrestles with this because they have more input from outside sources, being technology, the internet, the devices. Now, I talked in previous videos about American miseducation. Let me say something else about American miseducation. American miseducation would have you believe that you as an individual are too good to accept what you have no power or to conquer or change. There are some people in life, there are some things in life, there are circumstances in life, there are situations in life that you don't have the power to conquer or change. But American miseducation would have you believe that you're too good to accept it, that you don't have to accept it. Well, that depends on what the information is, that depends on what the circumstance it is, that depends on who the person is. American miseducation would have you believe that you're too good to accept what you have no power to conquer or change. Acceptance requires a realistic look at yourself, the information, your environment, your situations, your beliefs, and your religion. It requires you to take a very realistic, truthful look at it. So I said, look at yourself first, look at the information presented to you, look at the environment that you're in and how it's affecting things one way or another. Look at whatever situation you're in inside of your environment. Look at the beliefs that you have and really give yourself some serious thought and some serious questions to, could your beliefs be correct or could your beliefs be off? And of course, if you're a religious person, you need to take a close, sincere, truthful look at your religion, your religious beliefs. So like I said, acceptance is a process. But what I hate about this modern world, especially through the internet and through these devices, is they're giving people that are not powerful a false sense of power. They're giving people that are not knowledgeable a false sense of knowledge. They're giving people that are undeserving of attention and credit a false sense of attention and credit. This is just the world that we live in. I've had these conversations with my youngest son. He understands it. When you're on these posts, when you're on these platforms, when you're on these videos, when you're on these memes, when you're on these studies, you get a false sense of power. You get a false sense of knowledge. You get a false sense of religious beliefs. You get a false sense of history. You get a false sense of self. It's a very dangerous thing because it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Misleading. That's the word I'm looking for. It's misleading. But the push towards acceptance could be wickedly motivated. So you have to flip the coin and look at it the other way. If someone's pushing you to accept anything, anyone, any belief, any lifestyle, any trend, any whatever, it could possibly be wickedly motivated. So you have to take that into account. It's not that you can't understand, it's that you can't accept. So with that, we're going to move on to the concept of acceptance versus tolerance. Acceptance versus tolerance. Now, I will say this, acceptance and tolerance are similar, but they're not the same thing. Acceptance and tolerance are similar, but they're not the same thing. I'm just going to give you my own basic definition. Acceptance, regardless of what it is you're accepting, acceptance helps a person live with whatever is probably true and unchangeable. An example would be the sun that's shining right now. It's hot, it's unchangeable. So as humans that live on this planet near the sun, we have to accept how it affects the earth. Acceptance helps a person live with what is probably true and unchangeable. Tolerance is different. It's similar to acceptance, but it's different. Tolerance, on the other hand, may or may not help a person live with what could be true or false and is changeable. Example would be trends. Anybody that gets on any type of media, any type of news, any type of streams can figure out what a trend is. A trend is something that may be true or false. A trend is something that is changeable and not unchangeable. So if you tolerate something, that means you're looking at it from the point of view as, okay, if I tolerate this, that means I'm allowing it in my life, but it's something that I do have power over. It's something that I could change, or that's something that could be changed. So like I said, acceptance and tolerance are similar, but they're not the same thing. An example of something you have to accept would be the sun and its power. An example of something that you can tolerate or choose not to tolerate is trends and how they can change from time to time. Now, I will say this about the modern world. This gets into the American miseducation. False beliefs destroy us. The modern world is trying very hard to confuse the two. Confuse acceptance with tolerance and confuse tolerance with acceptance, making the two the same thing. Again, I've used this example before, but I'll do it again. You have acceptance and you have tolerance. They're similar, but they're not the same thing. This is a razor blade. It has a purpose. Whoever crafted it, they made it for a reason. This is a razor blade. It can do certain things. This is a box cutter. It's similar to a razor blade. It can do some of the certain things that razor blade can do, but it's designed for a different purpose. Are these two the same thing? The answer is no. This works one way, this works another way. They're similar, but they're not the same. Acceptance is similar to tolerance. Tolerance is similar to acceptance, but they're not the same thing. So the modern world, American miseducation, would have you believe that you're supposed to tolerate anything and anyone that comes into your environment. I'll put it that way. That whoever comes in their environment, their ideas, point of view, lifestyle, beliefs, whatever you have it, that you have to tolerate it, in other words. Or in other words, they may say you have to accept it. Okay, sorry for the break. We were talking about tolerance and acceptance. Now, when we're talking about American miseducation, modern world, modern thought, Western thought, they'll use the word that you have to accept, but what they really mean is tolerate. And then when they use the word tolerate, they'll tell you that you have to do it. Well, you don't have to do anything. I don't have to cook, I choose to cook. I don't have to clean, I choose to clean. I don't have to get up and do anything I don't want to do. I get up and do things that the Most High Yahweh would have me do because I choose to. So when we're talking about acceptance, acceptance is things that cannot be changed. Tolerance is things that could be changed or may not change. Understand the difference between the two. Just because something exists doesn't mean it's good for you. All of you modern young people that are 35, you 90s kids going forward, 35, 36 years and younger, just because something exists doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because something is presented to you doesn't mean it's honest and true. Just because something is placed in front of you doesn't mean it's natural and that it's a godly, moral, ethical thing. It's just being presented to you, and you have the power of choice to accept it or tolerate it depending on what it is. Now again, you have to use wisdom. Some things are unchangeable. The seasons change every 3 months. Is that right? Every 3 months there's a different season, 4 total. When it's time for winter to come, things change, but you can't change and make winter summer. You can't change and make summer spring. You can't change and make spring autumn. So that's a matter of acceptance. That's a matter of accepting that things are the way they are. Tolerance is different. Okay, tolerance would be, it's raining outside. You have an umbrella and a raincoat, but you also have a key to get inside of your house. So you can sit outside and tolerate the rain with or without your umbrella, tolerate the rain with or without your raincoat, or you can use your key and go inside the house and you don't have to deal with the rain in that context. So we're talking about people's personalities, people's trends, people's beliefs, people's lifestyles, people's point of view, people's opinions. Those are all changeable things. You can choose to tolerate it or put yourself in a position, if possible, to get away from it. So acceptance is similar to tolerance. Tolerance is similar to acceptance, but they're not the same thing. So my advice to you, it's not that you can't understand, it's that you can't accept. I'm telling you, accept the unchangeable and either tolerate or refuse to tolerate the changeable. Let me say that again. Accept the changeable and either tolerate or refuse to tolerate the unchangeable, the changeable. Know the difference. Choosing, because you have a will, people can decide to do or not do. Choosing not to accept the unchangeable will lead you to a difficult life. That's like you going outside and yelling at the sun for being hot. You can't do anything about it. You can remove yourself from some of its heat and radiation effects, but you can't do anything about it being hot. So if something's unchangeable, choosing not to accept that will lead you to a very difficult life. And you have some people that are so drugged out, so new age thought out, they actually believe that they can change the unchangeable. So what I'm saying is, you have to accept the unchangeable, and you have to be willing to either tolerate or not tolerate the changeable. What I would advise you all to do, and I say it in every video pretty much, read, R-E-A-D, read. Educate yourself, think and meditate on your experiences, If you think and meditate on your experiences, this will help you identify truth and accept it. And in addition to identifying the truth and accepting it, always seek counsel from older, wiser, experienced people. Always seek counsel from older, wiser, experienced people. People that have already been down the road you've been down. People that have already experienced what you've experienced. People that know how to navigate through, above, or around situations that you don't know how to navigate through, above, or around. Those are the people you need to sit down and talk to. Those are the people you need to sit down and listen to. Those are the people you need to sit down and respect and honor. Because you have so many people out here that says, I can't understand this, I can't understand that, I can't understand that. Well, if you take a close look at it, you'll find out whether it's changeable or not. If it's unchangeable, just accept it and move on. So I want to put this briefly in certain different contexts. Okay, men and women. Men, let me say this to you. You can take it or leave it. You will never fully understand women, period. Women, let me say this. You will never fully understand men, period. So your choices is, you have to understand that it's unchangeable. Men are not going to just miraculously become women. Women aren't going to just miraculously become men. Now the world is trying to make that happen, but it's not going to just miraculously happen. Women, you'll never fully understand how men roll. Men, you'll never fully understand how women roll. But if you're going to be in a relationship or in ministry or in an environment where both are present, you're going to have to figure out how to accept some things. Some things are changeable, some things are unchangeable. If it's changeable, there's nothing wrong with working to change that. I don't see anything wrong with a woman trying, notice I said trying to change a man. I don't see anything wrong with a man trying, notice I said trying to change a woman. Will it happen? So, if it doesn't happen, you have to accept her as she is, no matter what environment that's in, whether it's a work environment, a business environment, a ministry environment, an educational environment, a relationship environment, a marriage environment. So you have all these posts, memes, videos, men complaining about what they don't understand about women, women complaining about what they don't understand about men. A lot of times they don't understand, but see through the fog. The other thing that's going on is not that they can't understand, it's that they can't accept. Any man that wants a woman in his life in any capacity is going to have to accept her being a woman. Any woman that wants a man in her life in any capacity has to accept him being a man. So it's not that you can't understand, it's that you can't accept. So I challenge you all to learn to accept the unchangeable. I'm watching the time. Those of you that believe in a creator, it's literally impossible to fully understand the creator. He does things that you don't expect, that you don't like. Other times he won't do things that you do expect and you would like. This is just the nature of who he is. I didn't bring my Bible because we're not going to go to the scriptures today, but trust me, Brother Theron can pull up many scriptures, many examples throughout history, many indications that tell you that he's someone that you can't fully know or understand. But on the flip side of that, once you realize that you can't understand him, you have a choice to either accept him as he is or not. If you don't accept him as he is, you're going to have a hard life. This is true with nature. Okay, right now it's technically spring, but we have summer weather. Technically, summer starts June 21st, June 22nd. We've got a couple of weeks to go. But this is summer weather. This is nature. This is how summer weather normally looks. It's bright, typically sunny, the trees are green, sometimes the wind is blowing, birds are singing, it's hot and it's humid. This is normal. This is nature. It's not changeable. You can try to change it, but it's not changeable. This is the way it was made. So it's not that you can't understand summer. You have to accept summer until summer's over with. And when September comes along and summer's over with, you have to accept autumn and accept winter, etc., etc. So what I'm telling you, again, to make your life easier, do your best to understand. If you have the mental capacity to understand, if you have the experience to understand, and if you do, the real work, like I said previously, is typically the hardest, and the final step is acceptance. This goes for people. We're going to go into that now. Last time I checked, there was 8 billion people on this planet. That's a rough estimate. You don't have to deal with all 8 billion of them, but you have to deal with the fact that some of them are some of that 8 billion. So when we're talking about accepting people and tolerating people, well, that's a gray area, because you are supposed to accept the person as an individual, as a human being. I challenge every human being to treat other human beings like human beings. That's the challenge. You don't necessarily have to accept or tolerate their behavior, their lifestyle, their point of view, their opinions, their trends. Those are changeable, so they're optional. You can either tolerate it or not tolerate it. But if you don't tolerate it, don't let anyone condemn you, put you down, disrespect you because you don't tolerate something that's intolerable from someone else. Everybody wants to come with their appearance. They want to come with their lifestyles. They want to come with their trends. They want to come with their opinions. They want to come with their point of view. They want to come with their beliefs. They want to come with their change of kind and change of nature. These are all changeable things. So if you don't accept those things that I listed, that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you you. You are supposed to be you. And if you don't accept those things, just walk away. Oh, a side note. I don't care what anyone says. There's nothing spiritually or morally or ethically wrong with telling your truth. If the truth of the matter is you don't accept certain things from people, you don't accept certain things from certain people. You have that right. I would say that to any Christian, any Muslim, any atheist, any Hebrew Israelite, any Republican, any Jewish person, any Democrat, any patriot. I would say the same thing to them. If you don't like something, you don't accept something, speak up. If they hate you for it, let them hate you for it. There's a reason why the Creator created us with these lips, these teeth, the tongue. Yes, we're supposed to have control over it, but we're also supposed to use it. So since we're supposed to use it, everybody else with all these different lifestyles, trends, customs, beliefs, point of view, opinions, they're using their mouth freely. So what I would tell you, if it's something you can't tolerate, use your mouth freely. It's not that they can't understand, it's just they can't accept. So that goes for them too. It's not that they can't understand you, it's that they can't accept you not accepting them. That's the problem. That's the problem. This gets back into the American miseducation thing. They want to make it where anyone with any belief, any idea, any point of view, any opinion, any thought can go out there and project it and push it publicly and try to push it on you. But when there's pushback, when there's resistance, when there's trouble, they want to call that person the bad guy. They want to make that person the villain. They want to throw that person in jail. They want to take that person's page down. They want to take that person's post down. They want to silence that person. This is why they change rap music so much. I'm watching the time, but this gets into the understanding and accepting thing. There was a time when a rapper could get on a mic and say whatever. Soon as these so-called, I'm saying so-called, rich white people started pumping money into rap music, everything changed. This would have been early 90s. Now they wanted to force these people to be quiet, or force these people to say things that they wanted them to say instead of what the rapper himself or herself wanted to say. They wanted the rapper to push their false image instead of the image that the rapper, male or female, already had. This is why I listen to old school rap. This is why I listen to the old stuff. Why? Because this is Chub Rock. This is one example of a rapper who would get out there, dress how he wanted to dress, say what he wanted to say, rap about what he wanted to rap about, talk to the people he wanted to talk to, and then several years after that album came back, 90s, they started changing everything, and now they're trying to silence the people that have something to say about the people that are trying to be accepted. I'm watching the time. I'm going to sum this up. So again, accepting the truth about the Creator, nature, men, women, marriage, relationships in general, parenting, humanity, will help make your role, function, and purpose in life easier and safer. Let me say that again. Accepting the truth about the Creator, nature, men, women, marriage, relationships in general, parenting, and humanity will help make your role, function, and purpose easier and safer. It's not that people can't understand, they can't accept. And that's just the reality. Some people are just going to never understand. If they never understand, move on. Some people are just never going to accept. Real briefly on the subject of fighting with someone that doesn't accept, that's a gray area. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but if you choose to fight with someone that just can't accept anything, it's going to be stressful. You're bringing what I would call unnecessary tension into your life. It's an unnecessary fight. It's an unnecessary battle. Sometimes, excuse me, unnecessary fights and battles are things that you just have to accept, like I said, and walk away from. Some people be stubborn till the day they die. Some people will die being stubborn. Believe me, I know. So what I challenge y'all to do is understand first, and if it's changeable, accept it, and either change it yourself or appoint someone to change it for you, or just accept it and move on. So it's just sound advice. I'll be doing more videos similar to this one. Sometimes I just want to have plain talk. I didn't know the scriptures this time, but there'll be times where I do go to the scriptures. Learn to understand and accept. Read, educate yourself, study your experiences. Despite what the world says, date, get out, learn, know people, get to know people, spend time with people, talk to people, listen to people. That's the only way you're really going to learn. With that being said, if you like this video, like the video, share the video with others so that they can be edified as well. Comment on the videos. My comment section is open. You can comment as long as it's respectable. Subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all subscribers. If I start getting more subscribers, I will try to offer out some free material to people that subscribe. Contact me via Mitchell. I'm sorry, I got tongue-tied. Contact me via email. My email is theronmtchll@gmail.com. If you're interested in speaking to me, you can reach me through email. Interested in befriending me, you can reach me through email. Interested in having a discourse about anything I talk about, you can reach me through email. Like, share, comment, subscribe, contact me via email. And with that, I say shalom.